Multiplayer realms. Wait, how do I go online? Is it realms? Wait, what? Invalid. Multiplayer. What was this? The virus? How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. I thought you could do multiple thingies now. Can't you use like, do I still have to need like do I still need like the thingies to join like RL crafts and shit? You still need those? Like the launchers, like the other launchers? I forgot what the other ones were called. Do you still need all those for to play other thingies? Oh my god, you still do? Damn, I think we would have got rid of that by now. Okay, I'll just play single player then. You can't respawn if you die. Oh no. Do normal. Allow commands. Game mode. What does this do? CurseForge, was it? Is that what it was? Oh, my sense is so high. Why is my game at like 5 FPS? It's not 5, but like FPS. Oh, it's maxed out. VSync. My FOV is so zoomed in. My sense is so high. Controls. That's fine. Holy cow. What do I look like? Oh yeah, what do the game mode thingies do? Slash game. Oh, what does this do? See below for game mode here. What does that do? Don't use CurseForge, they suck. There's Minecraft drops, is there? Oh my god, I haven't played this game in so long. How do I go into inventory again? Jeez, I haven't played Minecraft in ages. What's the inventory button in this game? E? Oh, that's what it looked like. Cheat for Nasu. I'm gonna explore. Dude, I should put a Pixelmon in. Should I download CurseForge real quick? I don't know. It's just an hour. I can just play vanilla for an hour. Playing Minecraft? Oh, is the thingy not working? Oops. What are these? Dungeons. Oh, that's not out yet. Oh, Dungeons 2 isn't out yet. This is out. Legends. What the heck is Minecraft Legends? Oh, this music is loud. We saw mods are gonna be here for a while. You're right. You're right. You're not wrong. It's gonna make me want to start playing Minecraft again. What happened to Marvel Rivals? I'm doing a quick sponsor for Minecraft. And we're gonna get back on Rivals. Peak this early. Bro said peak. I'm crying. Oh, what the heck? Why'd it do it like that? Jeez, it's been so long since I played this game. I haven't played this game since I was little. How do I make a fucking crafting table again? Crafting table. Spruce or birch? Yeah, use 4 of these, right? I need one more. Grabbing sponsors like it's DoorDash. Somebody diss Minecraft? Minecraft is goated, bro. Who's dissing Minecraft? Who dissing Minecraft? Me? What do you mean? I played this game when I was little. I'm not dissing Minecraft. I'm just saying. Wait. What did you say? Sponsored by anything, bro? Brother. Okay. Yeah, you dissing Minecraft, bro. Shout out Minecraft, bro. This game's goated. You ain't never had like those times when you and your boys just played Minecraft? You and the homies just played Minecraft together? You ain't never. Oh, you can't use this. Oh, you can't use this for that. What the hell? Use oak wood planks for this? Yeah, you can. You ain't never had a session where you and the homies just played Minecraft together? Like those like arcs, the Minecraft arcs, or the Discord, or whatever you use, Skype, whatever you use, bro. I need sticks. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Oh, you can't use this. Onion ring. Or can you only use it on the crafting table? What makes sense is stick. I think it can't use this wood, huh? You can't. God damn it. Sticks and stones may break my bones. I can play music because the bot won't pick it up. Oh, I mute the game music. We beating out Ender Dragon tonight, brother. I don't even remember how to get there, bro. Uncle, what are you talking about? What am I talking about? When you dropping a Shindo like video, yeah, you are extremely blind. So I used to do Minecraft videos. I did a few. I did like I think I did at least 20 Minecraft videos. I did at least 20 Minecraft videos, at least 20. You can't use this. You can't use this to make stick? Why can't I make the stick? Oh, I need planks. There you go. What was the recipe for the swords and stuff again? Showing all. That's what's craftable. I don't even have iron or anything anyway. Cobblestone. Cobblestone. How you go from Rivals to Minecraft? Bro. What's with the Minecraft hate, bro? Warcraft videos are still up? Yeah, we never finished it. That thing was hard as hell. Put on sea shanty songs? Hell no. Let's get some Assassin's Creed Black Flag sea shanty songs up in here. No. Give me that chicken. Give me that chicken. Heard speedrunning Minecraft is fun. Does anyone ever speedrun in here? Heard it's like really, really fun. Mining cobblestone. Yeah, so mining cobblestone. We can really see your age with this game. That's crazy. Where am I at? I'm on a literal island. SongRequest isn't on. I gotta turn it off. You gotta stop requesting songs. People keep coming here thinking SongRequest is on. But I'm on a literal island. What in the what? What is this spawn? Got a cheek spawn. Wait, this is a bro. A spawn of doom. Like, what is this? Okay, how do you make a boat? What's the recipe for a boat? Don't show in here. Wasn't it like something like with the thingy? Maybe your wood into planks first? Oh yeah, I do need to turn them into planks first. There we go. He's right here. Nice. Okay, what now? 5 planks in the shape of a U. The shape of a U. Isn't it supposed to be more squares than this? Was it supposed to be more squares than this? Where are the rest of the squares at? In the crafting table? Why is it not letting me? Oh, there we go. I was pressing E on it. Whoops. How do I collect them all at the same time again? I forgot to bind for it. Let's just shift. What else I want to make? Get that pickaxe. Get that sword too. Some raw chicken. We got some raw chicken. We speed running? Oh hell no. Bro said we speed running. How do I put it down? Oh, there we go. I come back to live and see this dude's on Minecraft. Bro, I'm doing a quick sponsor for Minecraft. Shout out to Minecraft for sponsoring the stream. That was boat driving always this move? This hurts to watch. How does this hurt to watch, bro? I haven't played Minecraft in like how many years? Like 6 years. How else would this look? I can tell your age when we play this. Tell my age? Like I didn't play Minecraft before you were born. I'm joking. How do I get off the damn thing? No, get me off of the damn thing. I get off of it. Oh, shift. How do I pick it up? How do I pick it up? Left click it. No. Well, let me pick it up. Or are boats one-time use? Just break it. Oh, there we go. Can I play with you? No. So you pigs, come here. I still think the worst character to ever get added to Smash was Steve. Most broken, most dumbest character I've ever seen added to that game. Actually ruined that game for me, I'm not gonna lie. Dude actually ruined that game for me. Like, oh my god. That character is so broken. Character was so broken, bro. We played off-brand Minecraft. Off-brand Minecraft. I never played that. Wasn't that Pixel Forge or no? Or what Pixaroon? I forgot what the name of it was. What was it? Hypixel? Yeah, that's what it was. Oh crap. Dude, nighttime I eat food. How do you make a campfire again? What's the recipe for campfire, chat? I forgot what it was. Or thingy furnace. Yeah, furnace. I don't have the thingies for it. Fuck. So I need some raw pork chops. Yeah, don't kill me, right? Each stone, yeah. Why don't you play Deadlock anymore? Because I play Rivals. Because I'm a rival streamer. Too busy. Too busy on other games to play that. The only games I've been playing lately are 2xKO and Rivals. Then if you're not counting it for plays. Got a server going? No. Are you gonna play Directive 8020? We played it. The game was buns, so I refunded it. I was the 20. I wasn't in the 20. I watched it. It was good though. I'm happy Panu won, even though like, yeah, the teams were kind of not balanced. But how do you do it again? Don't you hold shift? Yeah, you hold shift. But like, hey, bro, my boy took a W today. I'm not complaining. You want to see complain from me? There's a skeleton. Hey, look, it's chat. We're not skeleton, a creeper. Are you gonna play Xenoverse 3? Yeah. I don't know how much I'm gonna stream it, but I'm gonna try it. If I like it, I'll play it. If I don't like it, I'm not playing it. If I don't like it, I'm not playing it. That's a lot of creepers, damn. There's sheep. Yeah, wool. Kill his kids. Oh shit. Not a spider? Monster Hunter achievement. Do I have no achievements on this account? I don't think this is the right account, but I somehow have Minecraft on this account, so I'm pretty. Maybe I bought Minecraft after I lost my account. Is that an Enderman? Oh no. Yeah, Tekken and Street Fighter. I played 2XK yesterday off stream. It was at like 4 a.m. I think I'm gonna play. I think I decided on the team I'm gonna play. I'm probably just gonna run Thresh and Yasuo. Thresh my shit, bro. I gotta learn some Thresh combos. I'll probably do it off stream. I have a crap load of combos that I can learn, and apparently he's really good with Yasuo, so that's gonna be fun to do. Pretty sure you have no achievements every time you start a world. Really? And for you were pissing me off by not climbing the block. What block? On my block. That shit was kind of mid, but I finished the ending of it, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't even that good. What's up here? This doesn't feel right playing this game without seeing Pokemon. Playing this game without seeing Pokemon just feels so empty. Like people play vanilla Minecraft without like a mod or some sort. I don't know how y'all do it. I'm so used to seeing like just random Pokemon just everywhere. This feels so empty. This feels so empty, bro. I can't do this. Oh, I don't have coal or whatever, huh? God damn it. What the hell? What are you doing here? Unless you're doing speedruns? I guess. But like, yeah, I guess those are the only people that play vanilla. If you're doing a speedrun. I'm not a speedrunner though. Yeah, that guy's tanky. This wooden sword is buns. Wooden sword is buns. It's a stone sword. I don't need more stone left. We gonna finish this playthrough off stream? Oh, for sure. Oh, whoops. Blade on a roll to get diamonds. My plate player is getting diamonds is crazy. Oh man. What's this? That's the core, right? Yep. Yo, skeleton, don't shoot me, please. God damn it. Damn, I don't remember you guys being this tanky. It's about to be me soon because Rivals meta? That's crazy. How's your day been? My day's been pretty fun. Playing some Minecraft. What is this? This is new. I don't remember this being a thing. What the hell is this? What is this? What is that? Copper. That wasn't there before? That was not a thing before. What is that? When did I get there? What's up, Akari? Oops. You're spam hitting, that's why he's not dying so fast? That's a thing? When was that a thing? I don't remember that being a thing. A little spam. JB, if you don't get out of here. Yeah, Minecraft. I'm doing a quick sponsor real quick. They sponsored me to play the game for an hour. So yeah, check out Minecraft. Want me to teach you Minecraft? No. It's not I don't know how to play. I just forgot all this stuff. I haven't played this game in years. No. I wouldn't play vanilla Minecraft. If I was playing, I'd play ROCraft or like some mod. I want to play Pixelmon again. Pixelmon was fun. Next time you see me play this game on stream, I'll probably be playing like Pixelmon or... Oh, crap. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. My poor health bar. Anyway, that's what I was saying. Next time you see me play this game, I'll be playing a mod or something. I don't know what mod it'll be, though. Or a mod I've ever done before. I don't know. I like Minecraft. This game's fun. Just that I can't play vanilla though. I'm doing it right now, but I'm only playing for an hour anyway. But if I'm playing Minecraft, I have to be playing a mod of some sort. I'm dead. Yo, no. That was skeleton. Sag. Where am I at now? If I'm playing it, I have to be playing a mod. Float Psychos RPG is a good mod. Ooh, what is it? What's in it? Cobblemon? What's Cobblemon? Oh wait, no, we've played Cobblemon. I did videos on that, didn't I? Cobblemon. That sounds so familiar. I'm pretty sure I've played that. We've done that. We did RLCraft. We did Cobblemon. Didn't I do Cobblemon with Krista? I don't remember. I did something with Krista. I don't remember what I did though. Oh fuck. Ow. An idiot. I'm dead as hell. Man's lighting me up. Goddamn, Hawkeye. Hawkeye beating my ass. I'm gonna reset. Spawn sucks. No, I for sure did Pixelmon. We played it. Cause I remember I played with Dabo and I don't remember who else. But we've done Pixelmon. I remember it. Oh, it spawns back here every time. Oh, that sucks. Look at what my DPS is doing. Oops. They got Pokemon on this team. You ever played? Would you ever play Terraria? If one of my friends asked, sure, maybe. I think actually Nayuki asked me to play Terraria. I think I said sure. I don't remember what happened. I think they did, and then I think I was too busy, or I said I didn't have money to buy it because I didn't feel like buying it. Something happened. I don't remember. Something happened. I don't remember what it was. Or I probably made some excuse up to not play because I was busy at the time. I'm trying to remember, but I just generally don't remember. I just generally don't remember. You're live on the Purple app? Yeah. You're not supposed to say Purple app on TikTok, though. Well, say the name. I mean, it says it right there, no? It says Purple app equals, yeah. You wanna come do it? What's up, Ricky? Drop a follow, though. I appreciate it, dude. You don't have to, though, but I appreciate it. Why can't you say it? Because they'll blacklist your stream. I mean, shadow ban your stream. Oh, stream sponsored by Minecraft, Ricky. You should check out Minecraft today. I don't know why I keep spawning on this island. This is actually so cursed. Yo, would it still count as playing Minecraft if I did play if I played Steve? Would it still count? What if I was playing, but I was playing Steve instead? I was playing Smash and I was playing Steve. Would that count? Doing a solo run? I'm only playing for an hour, Ricky. That would not count. No. No, that wouldn't count. I'm not doing that. Twitch gonna be like, yeah, so you're not getting paid for this. You're not getting paid for this. This is not Minecraft. What do you mean? I'm playing Steve. They're gonna be like, bro, can you just play a game that doesn't require somebody getting beat up in it for once? You can beat on people in Minecraft though. What edition is this? Java, I think. This is Java. What is it floating on? Oh, what? You can do that? Oh god, what am I doing? Oh, I don't have the cobblestone. Whoops. Yellow dye. That's a thing you can buy. That's what I follow, Mafia. I appreciate it. Buy, bro. You get what bro, you guys are so like, you know what I'm saying. You guys are just trying to rage bait me. You guys are trying to rage bait me. Am I still on an island again? These spawns are buns now. You guys are just trying to rage bait me. Holy LARP. What's it? Holy LARP. As if I'm a Minecraft player. We get Kazan. Yo, low key, I had the soul's itch. You could get Kazan. I'm not even trolling. You could get Kazan. Actually, I might do. Wait, let me write that down. That's gonna be one of the sub goals. I'm not doing that now. Okay, I wrote it down. That's gonna be a sub goal. No game I do need to finish. I gotta finish Stellar Blade. Am I gonna finish freaking Stellar Blade? How did I get to like 80% way through the game and I just randomly stopped? I think I stopped because I was doing the slam, right? I was doing something. I don't have a pickaxe, do I? I forgot to make a pickaxe. Oops. Bald sub goal. That's never coming back. You guys missed out. The bald sub goal is never coming back. They gonna put Until Dawn 2? Yes. You were in a slam, then forgot about. Was that really what happened? I feel like that's what happened because there's no way I would have just randomly just dropped the game. Now Kazan, I definitely did that though. But that's because I was playing something else that came out that was more important to me. I don't remember what game that was that came out though. What game was it? I'm trying to think, but I don't remember what it was. I need coal. I need coal. You scared? Scared of what? Scared of? You think I'm scared of Kazan? Son, this is rage bait. You need to build a sheep machine before you get off. Sheep machine? What is a sheep machine? Bald sub goals never come back. You guys missed out on that. You're never getting that back. That's on you guys, bro. Yeah, Minecraft motion like that, huh? What are you talking about? Need more sticks. There's a spear now in this game? That is new. What in the what? 2 attack damage, 1.3 the attack speed. The heck? Wow, that's new. You should do a not-ending stream till you beat hardcore. And you should do a stream where you beat every Resident Evil and don't end until you beat all of them. How about that? How about that? What's I gonna do? What was I gonna do? Deal. How about that? You ever play Me Side, Eli? You should play that. That's a great game right there. Oh wait, I can make the things for the chickens. I watched it. Oh, you flaked out. You cheeser. You cheesed, bro. Hold on. I bet my fish was drowning. Let's go. Hangry. That One Piece mod? One Piece mod. Which one was that one? The first time to lock in day trading. Lock in day trading. What does that mean? What does that even mean? I need a crib, bro. You can do that. Whoa. What does this do? What does doing that do? Does it automatically just turn into... Oh, it's just stripped dirt. Oh, that's new. Make a dirt house. You're rated? No. It's probably put me front page. I don't know. It's for building. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that wasn't a thing before. They got blade in this game? Yeah. You trying to see it? Nothing special. You can make a smoker. Smoker is crazy. Nah, I'm not gonna play directive. We're gonna play Minecraft for friends. I can probably play Minecraft for friends soon. I have a couple of friends that want to play this game. I don't know what we're gonna play, but we'll see. Minecraft motion? No, I'm probably front page if I had to guess. If I had to guess, I don't know, but indeed, okay, figured. I'll make a crib. Let's make a small little little something. Little something. Fuck you, bro. What are you doing here? Oh, come on, man. Let's just be spawning in. Man, I was messed up my house. Bro. Just trying to make a little small little something. Highest view count I ever had? That's a good question. I don't even know. It was probably one of the tournaments I did though, for sure. I don't know though. Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Away from my house. Yo, there's a freaking thingy. Yo, come on, they invaded my house, bro. Oh my god, bro. No, it wasn't 3K, no. I've had higher than that before. Check Twitch tracker, I don't know. If I had to guess, it's 4 point something. From probably the... Because when ABA updated, every time I would have like 3K a month. At the end of the month, I'd always average like 3K views. When ABA updated. I want to say it's 4.4 or something. I know my sub goal, or my total sub count, my highest sub count. Damn, why is there so many spawned in? What? What? Did they up this? This didn't used to be like this. What? It's 4.1? 4.4? I can check it after this. Why is there so many spawned in? They didn't used to spawn this much at the night. I mean, yeah, more mobs will spawn in, but it didn't used to be this much. What the hell? There's some every corner. That's not normal. What the fuck is that? Bro, what is this? Why is there so many? It's more on players. I'm the only one. What? What's that you mean? I mean, it's more on players. What are you talking about? There did definitely... Okay, it definitely did not used to be this much. I've played vanilla Minecraft shit loads of times. It was never this much. Oh, my fuck. Oh, man. I'm dead. Son, what? Nah, they upped this for sure. This did not used to be this much. Son, what is that? I think I spawned right next to my stuff. Yeah, it's right there. Oh, my house is destroyed, though. Oh, my goodness, bro. Like, how am I even supposed... Okay, I'm dead again. Son, what did they do to this game? It didn't used to be like this. No, on everything I loved. It just did not used to be this much enemies at nighttime. This is OD. It feels like I'm playing Lords of the Fallen again. This feels like Lords of the Fallen, bro. What? That game was buns. That game was buns. Use your shift. Bro said use my shift. My shift for what? What are you talking about? Dude, house got raided. I'm crying, bro. I need my stuff, bro. I'm stuck on this small island with like 1 million creepers and zombies and skeletons. Creepers and skeletons and whatever the hell they're called. Turn on that peaceful mode. No, I played on normal last time, but I played this and it was nowhere near this much. They upped this like crazy. Ow? What type of aim y'all got, bro? That shit hit scan. That shit hit scan. Why is there so many of you guys in my house, bro? Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my, I can't get my stuff. It's poke slop everywhere. Where's this lead? I'm gonna drown doing this. Oh, wrong way. There's really nothing down here. What a Pokemon at? Yeah, next time I play, I think I want to play Pixelmon. What are the newest Pixel? What is that noise? I'm gonna drown. No, 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 no. There's nothing down here. No. 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 Almost found the One Piece. Damn. Pixelmon is tough. Yeah, I want to play Pixelmon again. I want to play Pokemon Mo. I never did that new region they added on Pokemon Mo. We could do that. Or maybe I play a different like modded Pokemon thing. Cobblemon. Cobblemon is the new one. We'll look it up. Oh, my fucking hair is tickling my neck. What the hell is this? This?
This is Cobbleverse, the world's most popular.
Why is this video
Cobble
4 hours
mod
long?
pack. And over the next
Yo, Minecraft
100
YouTubers
days,
love
I'm
making their
going to be
videos 90 minutes long.
exploring everything from
I mean, it's free ad revenue.
the game to Mega Evolution to even custom raid dens. My goal is to
I think it
collect
looks
all
pretty
8
cool.
gym badges to become the champion, take down the evil team.
I mean, they do it because it works. I bet you all his videos are probably long as fuck. 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. Oh my god, everything is 3 hours minimum. Oh my god. 3 hours, 3 hours. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, he's getting crazy ad revenue from that.
Rocket, catch a shiny
Long videos on
legendary
YouTube give you
Pokemon, and
stupid
defeat my
money.
rival, who I'll be fighting every 10 days.
Oh
leading
my
to the final
god.
battle on day 100. So will I
Woofles likes his content like that? Woosified? You said Woofles. I'm like, what? Woofles the rivals player? Like, what are you
be able to
saying?
complete my goals and take down my rival? Well, Mega Pokemon. That's
Oh,
right.
the lighting
this
is
pack
beautiful.
Literally has Mega Pokemon that we can get.
There's megas in
and
this
they only
mod?
require 2 things. The first being a Mega Bracelet. We need 5 pieces of iron, 2 apricorns, a diamond, and a keystone. We can find this thing. Oh, there we
The
go.
mod looks beautiful. I'm
Saw
shit.
it
I'm
in the corner
down.
of My eye, we found it.
If that one of them are down, I'm down. This
This
shit looks sick.
very, very cool. Because if we come on inside, not only is there no, it can't.
What the battles look like?
That's a monster right there. Getting that makes shoot. Let's go for this. Shadow Sneak. That's gonna hurt because you have your strength.
Oh my god, the flickering is throwing my brain off.
Out. Crocodile. Tectonic Rage.
No!
Tectonic Rage, buddy. Yes, it's faster. And
Damn.
boom. Down it
That ladder
goes.
server you made a storyline for it was tough.
Frick.
Oh,
Oh,
my
I remember
God,
that. Yeah,
there
they
it
were
is.
playing that. I didn't join them because I was
3-1,
busy.
I'm up, man. I'm up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
And you know, next battle there's a twist as always as well.
I know. I know. I know.
Mhm. So prepare for that, okay?
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty, folks, we are back.
Oh, my
and
friend
the
got
next
hacked.
Battle is the
I got a
day
DM to
50
Mr. Beast
battle.
crypto
So, it's time
picture.
to lock in because day 50. has a
Mr.
bit
Beast
of a twist.
crypto.
Unlike
What
our
is this?
usual
Yeah, my
battles,
friend's
we're gonna be
hacked.
running a
I'm crying.
double
That's
battle,
hilarious.
a format that our team is
Mr. Beast
exactly
crypto.
prepared for. So let's start prepping.
It's the
And I
little
think the first
picture
thing
with
I
the
wanna do
phone.
is
Yeah,
actually swap.
my friend got clapped.
There's a few TMs that I think I want.
It was good. I'd be down to play it. I'd be down to play it. Yo, what is this spawn? Can I get a different spawn? Let me just do. What is realms? Realms doesn't work. Minecraft multiplayer. Let's see if I got a match. We got a lobby or whatever. Wait, you guys said I need a link, right? Or an ID? Yo, Robert, thanks for a 5. Adjust the FOV. Where is it? I mean, we're almost done anyway. It's not really a point in doing this. There's no point in doing that. Thanks for the 5 gift, Rebirth. I appreciate it. I don't know what you did that for, but I appreciate it, dude. Let me see if I get my shit back. Brother, what is that? Like, how am I supposed to get my stuff back when there's that much enemies down there? You get me out of Elo hell today. Not today. Today's update day. I'm about to get back on Rivals. Like, I'm about to get back on my main account. I mean, I'm probably gonna do alt games later, but that still gonna be way too high rank for you. That's gonna be what, diamond? What rank are you? Elo hell. How you guys in Elo hell? It can't be worse than what I went through today. I literally had teammates arguing my first match on. Like 3 people arguing, just arguing for the sake of arguing. Okay, I'm gonna let them kill me. This spawn sucks. I keep getting trash spawns. One send us 20. Panu and Kingsman, their team. Minecraft, this is not Marvel, but I'm down. I'm doing a quick sponsor. Why is there so many of you guys? Oh my god. This island is the world spawn. Need a bed to change your spawn. Yeah, but I don't have a bed here, obviously. I have no other beds. I'm just gonna reset the lobby. Where am I at? Oh, there's a peaceful spawn. Nice. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. That was a poo-poo spawn. Like, what? You about to beat the Ender Dragon? Oh, hell no. I've never seen that much mobs. I don't know why there was so much mobs. It didn't used to be like that. Official mod doesn't have megas or raid dens. Official mod doesn't have megas, raid dens, and Neumons, like how he said. Hmm. Did I miss playing Roblox? No. Yo, YG, thanks for the 16. Bro, thank you for the gifted again, bro. I appreciate it. What's the sub goal at now? We are at 109. Bro, the alert didn't even play properly.
Acknowledge my appreciation.
Acknowledge my appreciation. What the? What the? Did it work? Oh no, it did work. Nice. Oh, I don't have a thingy. You look like Alex. You look like a creeper. You look like a creeper, Homer. Actually, you look like an Enderman. You can't call me an Enderman. That'd be racist. Twitch better review this shit and be like, what are they paying me for? That's crazy. I'm playing Minecraft, no? POV, a gun and ball gamer tries to play Minecraft. POV, a gun and ball gamer tries to play Minecraft. Oh, hell no. We taking our money back. Oh, hell no. We taking our money back. To be fair, this is vanilla though. Like, there's not much you really can do. I'm not doing that Ender Dragon stuff. So you do roleplay and stuff. When does Rivals get this update? It's a new game mode. It's a new game mode. It's actually a lot. But like, go to the Under realm or whatever. Nah, done that before already. Got bored of that super quick. Go fight the warden. Warden? Deadlock? That character is goated. Oh, he just put people in chains. This shit is so tough. Wait, that sounds so crazy out of context. Oh my god. It's not a chain. He puts you in a cage. Wait, that's not any better. Bro, okay, like what, I don't know, man. It's a fish. He puts you in a cage. That's not this. That's different. He puts people in chains. He's so tough. He puts you in a cage, bro. If you don't escape the cage, you literally just get stunned. That shit is hype. You just sit there watching them run. It's hilarious. I'm sorry to me. I'm sorry, Roblox dead to me. No good games really coming out. New ones that come out just keep re-releasing. And for Big Dog, learn Mace. I promise you're gonna love Minecraft combat. Mace. Like the fucking pepper spray. Hey yo. Bro said learn how to mace. Is that a horse? You wrong. Mace is a new weapon. Okay, that shit was not. That's not real. That wasn't even a weapon when I was playing. What? That a bee? Bees are new. Oh, it stung me. Last time bro played the Out of the Nether. Yo, how long is this last? This is not canon. Oh, it's a beehive. Oh. There's actual mace now. That's new. It works like the distance you're falling down, you do more damage with the mace. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be tough. I can like literally go whoop people in fighting games or something, bruh. Now that's tough. Hit them with a 10 combo. Want to see an infinite? Now that's tough right there. You don't know bowl. You ain't a bowl nowhere. You ain't a bowl nowhere. Oh, I have cobblestone. God damn it. Oh, I forgot to get cobblestone. Oh wait, no, I do. I don't have enough of it. Whoops. Want to see a Nen Impact Infinite? Oh my god. You saw? Yeah, I saw they just added Zeno. They just added Zeno. Killo's grandpa. He looks cool too, but like you can tell they stopped trying with the characters now because he doesn't really have any like nothing unique like that. They just made his move set. That's it. He don't got like a unique gimmick or nothing. All he got is just packs. I think the coolest thing I saw him do is that he shot the dragon and like he can like ride in the dragon, but I don't think it does anything unique or nothing. I feel so bad for them. You can just tell they stopped trying. I mean, but like, I feel bad for them, bro. I mean, that's their fault for launching the game like that. I don't know. Like, the game was unbalanced as hell, and also the game has no crossplay. I got rollback though, but like, there's no crossplay, so it's bound to die. Some games I would rather have crossplay than rollback because at least you can get players. It's better than having rollback, but you got no one to play with. You got rollback, you got nobody to rollback with though. So it's like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, and the rollback is buns, yeah. The buggy mess. The rollback is a buggy mess, yes. Then Impact next stream? Hell no. Hell no. How's the day been so far? Pretty good. I was testing out blade buffs. I'm about to go test more of it after this. So we're about to be done. Did I ever get paid for that Impact stream? I got sponsored to an Impact stream. I don't remember if I got paid by it. I'm pretty sure I did though. That was a long time ago. If I didn't get paid, that would have been really bad. Use the pickaxe? Oh, I forgot. Bro, you ain't ever just like punch something with your hands to break something, bro? Come on. What they call that? What they call that? You're fist maxing. I'm fist maxing, bro. I'm breaking my hands on purpose. They're gonna come back stronger. Views are going up. Keep playing. The rent is due. Let's go to that front page. I'm about to get off this game though. Big shout out to Minecraft for sponsoring though. Shout out Minecraft. Make sure I check it out. You can craft and you can mine. Don't check out Smash though, because it has Steve in it. You don't want to play him in there. If you play Steve, you're a villain. I'm sold? Oh nah. Oh wait, you sold on this game? Okay, yeah, bet. Says a my player. Yap. You just hate girls. Quoting you. Yeah, mods ban him. He's sexist. Already a villain, damn. Says the Clive player. Clive the GOAT. Ow. Oh, that creeper burning. I play Kunimitsu, I don't play Clive. Yeah, I ain't see that. I play Kunimitsu, I don't play Clive. Rat coat play, bro. Lab coat is balanced. Y'all still, yeah. This is how I know that girl's in y'all head. Y'all are still hung up on lab coat. She did emotional trauma to y'all. Y'all are still hung up on lab coat. Y'all got farmed. That's a self-report of doom. She's nerfed, and y'all are still talking about her, bro. Y'all still mad. Y'all still mad. Oh man, that's crazy. Y'all still mad. She got nerfed and y'all still mad. Y'all still mad. She's in y'all head. She's in y'all head, bro. That's crazy. Rapcoat never beat me yet. Rapcoat the GOAT, bro. I love Rapcoat, bro. Lapcoat the GOAT. I need to get better at that new Goku. I want to get better at that new Goku. We need new fighters, bro. I'm telling you, bro. That feed families, bro. But they gotta find someone other than Arxis to make a DBFZ2. That's why we haven't got another one, clearly. Because that new Goku isn't made by Arxis. It clearly isn't. I only play meta and grimy characters? What are you talking about? Oh, yappers, bro. The character I play every stream is literally not meta. Y'all are yappers. You don't even play the current one? You don't even need a new fighters? I don't play the current one. Last time I played it, I played at Evo Japan. Also, I don't play the current one. You're a yapper. Oh, great. It's nighttime. I forgot. But we're about to be done anyway. You don't. Bro, I played at Evo Japan, bro. There's so many. Like, if I don't play this fighting game, you guys will be like, oh, you don't play this other fighting game. You don't play this. Like, I can't play every game at once, bro. Yeah, I fellas won't be playing every game at once. SSJ3 Vegeta. What's he even gonna do? Shoot more Ki Blast? What did he do? I still haven't watched Daima. I do need to watch Daima though, but I've been streaming too much, so I can't ever watch any animes. Yo, it's a 2-hour segment? Nah, we're done right now. His hair is longer. He's faster. He can swim. He didn't use anything unique